Well, here we are again. I'm at my work because it's just too cold outside to work on stuff like this at home. What I decided to do now is I had this. Let me show you. I've made this about 5 years ago. I don't know what they are pallet slats. The tops of the pallet, the wood that goes across, and they're made of oak, poplar, and there's a couple maple in here. And yeah, like I said, I made this about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And the reason I made it was because I wanted a workbench in my shed so I can work on something. Anything like you can hook a vise to, something heavy, something, you know, durable. And this would have worked. And I didn't care that these things were uneven. What I did was I drilled a hole through each one all the way through, and I run a threaded rod and put a nut and tighten it all together. So it's been in there for 4 years, and I haven't did nothing with it. So yesterday I started on it. I was like, well, let me try that out. It's about 50 pounds. It's pretty heavy, but it's uneven. See how uneven it is? And what I want to do is turn this into a coffee table. But you can't turn it into a coffee table it being this uneven, you know, because you can't bolt them exactly straight. So I was like, I'm going to sand it. Well, sanding with a palm sander and 40 grit sandpaper is going to take forever. So what I did, I took this thing, circular saw, and I lowered the blade just enough to, you know, well, like a half an inch. And I put it flat down on the ground, and I went across it. I pulled up the guard, and I went across. It's not the safest way. I know somebody, are you going to cut your foot off? I know. But if you're not an idiot, you know I know what I'm doing, okay? So you might not know what you're doing, but I know what I'm doing. So you might have cut your foot off, not me. Put some glasses on and some ear protection, because this thing, you know, the circular saws are loud. And I ran it across. Don't go this way. Don't go straight across. Just go at an angle, so the blade has something, you know, and just constantly run it back and forth. And it takes it down pretty darn good. I mean, that's a deep gap. That's a deep one there. It's like a big rotted part. But I went across it back and forth for about 15 minutes. And this is what I got. It's relatively flat. I mean, you have some dips and stuff, but it took a lot of the sanding out. So now you can see the different woods in there. Yeah, red oak, a lot of poplar, and a couple of maple. I think that might be maple right there. But now I have to hand sand it with the palm sander. I'm going to put 30 grit on it. Then I'm going to work or 40 grit on it. Then I'm going to work my way up and just constantly sand it through the grits and stuff like that. And then let's get going. I'll show you the result in a little bit. Well, it's working pretty good. I'm getting a lot of it done. There's some dips in here that are too far out, but if you put a glass on there, it'll be fine. And there's some nicks and stuff that I still got to get down. This is pretty much almost done, and then this I still have to work on. And I know there's an easier way to do this, like run it through a planer, use a plane, use a belt sander, you know. But I don't have any of those things, and if you want to buy them for me to use on this, hey, that'd be fine. But until then, this is all I have. And what I'm using is, it's kind of dusty. Hold on. Shopsmith 40. It's like $5 for 3 pads, and I've sanded all of this down, and it's still good. It's still really good. I've been using the corners a little bit and some gashes and stuff, but yeah, this stuff works really, really well. Really holding up. That's about it for right now. I'm getting it down pretty good. It's looking really nice. When you run the sander over it, you can still feel some high spots, like right here. There's just a slight high spot, but the color of the wood is really nice. Unbelievable. And some of them, I'm going to leave this in there. That's too deep for me to go. The end down here, like a knot. This little gash here, that gives some kind of character. It looks pretty cool. But I'm going to leave that in there, and that's it so far. Well, I got it all sanded as much as I'm going to get for right now. But now I went out and bought some 2x4s. I cut them down. I didn't miter the joints. I was like, heck with that. I ain't doing nothing like that. So I'm going to have to screw it together, and I'll be all set. But first, I'm gonna have to countersink these into the side. So I'm gonna get a spade bit and drill those out. I'll screw them in. And a couple of these boards are really like loose, and this isn't gonna be perfectly flat. So what I got, I got these, and they're gonna screw. It's gonna hold it better. It's gonna hold it on there really nice and tight, and plus it'll give it a little accent on the sides. You know, I'll put a couple on each side, and it'll hold it all together or pull it a little bit tighter. Plus, if this isn't perfectly flat, so it'll bring that 2x4 a little bit straighter, I guess. I don't know. I just bought them. I think they were $1.19 each. So let's get working on it. I got the sanding done. I got the finishing done. I got the legs put on. So now here is the final product. I'll show you what it looks like. Well, the first thing I want to show you now is how I got the legs on there. I didn't want to screw these little things in through that. You know, I didn't want to make it a good hold. I'm going to put it into some plywood. So I routed out this just where that goes up in there. You ain't going to see it if you're standing next to it, next to the table. You aren't going to see the plywood. So then I put these long screws in there and screwed it in at an angle to grab. Then I could screw these in there. So that's what I did with 4 of them. And this is what it looked like before, all the uneven parts and everything, so it doesn't look very, very good. But I finished these. These are oak. I finished it out with pine. The bolts are sunken in there. These are 6-inch screws. I actually I put these screws in here to pull this, because this board is not exactly flat, and I pulled it straight. Or it pulled it around to fill in the gaps as much as it could, and I hurt my wrist when that damn thing was going in there because it's so much torque on it. So now let's turn it over and show you the other side. Here it is, all finished. You know, it looked nice and smooth. I got a gloss finish on it. It's not perfectly flat. It has some nicks and stuff. Plus, I like these little knots and everything like that. But that's it. It's all finished, and I like it. It's 73 pounds, so it weighs a lot, and you can see there are some imperfections in it, but that looks good for a pallet table. So, well, this is it close up. It's basically mostly oak and poplar, as you can see the strips in here. This is oak. This is poplar and poplar, oak. Some of them are actually maple. I think this would be maple. This is maple. This is maple. But you can see this is oak, poplar. There's some oak here, but it looks really good. And now for the true test for it's not a coffee table, it's a beer table. So it works pretty good, and that's about it. The heaviest coffee table I've ever picked up. So thanks for watching.